Hello, and welcome to DREEMM, where we are focused on connecting to and building community. We are committed to helping individuals break cycles. We are delighted that you have taken the opportunity to join us. So prepare yourselves for this week's teaching and equipping session. Get ready to be educated, equipped, and set free as you listen to this week's broadcast. And thank you for joining us.
Hey, Dream Family. You guys, I am so excited for tonight. We're doing something way different than we've done before. So give me a second. Let me adjust my camera. We're doing something super different. Tonight is for the women. It has been on my heart since last Tuesday, actually, to do something different tonight and really just speak to the sisters. So all of us get in a room and just fellowship together. I think I am missing the community of women that I really got to build relationships with in DREEMM in Cincinnati. We have this thing that we do on every Monday nights, not every Monday, but 1 to 2 Mondays a month, where the sisters just get together and we just fellowship and we just sit around and we talk. And of course, we talk about the Bible, but we talk about life and just everything going on. And we encourage each other and build each other up. And I was thinking about that last weekend, was going, oh my goodness, I know I'm getting ready to go to Cincinnati to visit and to do some things with DREEMM. But I wanted to see if we could possibly sneak in a sister to sister session in there somehow, because I really just miss fellowshipping. My cousins and I, we are all close, my first cousins, bunch of us girls. And so we call each other sister cousins because we grew up as sisters more than cousins. And I text my younger cousin this week and I just told her, I just miss y'all. I think we should just go away together and just get away. And then it dawned on me, you're just missing fellowship with the sisters, with the women. So tonight, that is what I want to do for tonight's Truth Tuesday. I'm just going to speak to my sisters and get in this word and just have a good girl talk. And so we will be communicating through chat and everything else going on along those lines. But also, we will be communicating afterwards, because after tonight's session, I have a gift for you guys, for my sisters. I got something for us, and I'm so excited to share this word, of course, and to share the special gift for you guys. So just come on, invite your friends, invite your sisters, your mama, your cousin, your auntie, your niece. Invite them all in, y'all. We just gonna have us a good time, us women. And if you are a gentleman and you are here tonight, I promise you, I'm gonna talk to Pastor Ken, Pastor Darren, and Pastor Mike, and I'm going to put a little bug in their ear to do something for the men, similar to what we're doing tonight with the ladies, but I'm going to put a little bug in their ear. So for those of you joining for the first time, if you got invited to this and you're going, I know absolutely nothing about what DREEMM is and what you guys do, let's talk about it a little bit. So first of all, we are a deliverance ministry based out of Cincinnati, Ohio. We also have a location in Chattanooga. DREEMM stands for deliverance, restoration, education, and empowerment for me. We not only help you understand the things that may have you bound, because we do believe we help individuals and families break cycles. So we do believe in breaking cycles and not continuing those things throughout the generations. But we want to educate you so you make better decisions and you don't go back into the cycle that you just broke. So you're not allowing yourself to recreate that thing and do it all over again. And your children to go back into it, and your grandchildren. And so that cycle may end with you, but it continues with the next generation. So we want to educate you so that that does not happen. And so that's part of what DREEMM is and what we do. For those of you who would like to find out more about DREEMM, or if you are somebody going, God, I think I need to go through deliverance. Trust me, I've been there. Many members of our team have also gone through deliverance, and we continue to have sessions where we get together because we understand how sometimes you can fall into a cycle without really understanding it. And if you are somebody who's going, I feel like I need to go through deliverance myself, or I have a loved one that I think needs to go through deliverance, we always tell you, start with yourself first, put your mask on first. But we do invite you to go to our website where you can sign up for deliverance. It's actually on the header page of our homepage. click the link at the top, and then you're able to go ahead and sign up and complete the paperwork for Deliverance. And really, it's just getting information about what you may be dealing with, because although you may feel like I'm dealing with the spirit of lust, there could be some other things in there that you are not aware of. And so all I know is lust is here, but I may not know that I'm also dealing with a lying spirit and several other things. So those are the things that we talk about in Deliverance. But tonight, y'all, this is girl talk. This is us. So come on in here with us and let us get started. So first of all, my message for tonight, my title, and just give me a second because I'm looking through all of the information here, this is a message to my sisters to press. I'm trying to encourage us to keep pressing, to keep going. Y'all, last week, it was a very emotional week for me. The earlier part of last week, I was sitting at this desk right here that I'm sitting at right now. And y'all, I just felt overwhelmed. So I started to cry. And I mean, the weight of everything that I felt I was carrying just felt like it was consuming me. And so the tears just kept flowing, and they just kept flowing. And I'm sitting here and I just began to pray. And my prayer was not, God, here are all the problems that I'm having. My prayer was, God, you designed me. You know me. You know my heart. You know every cell in my body. You know every organ, every atom. You know every nerve. You know every brain cell. You created me. Your word says that you knew me before you even formed me in my mom's body. So you know everything about me. There is nothing I can hide from you. And because you know me, God, I don't even have to say this is what I'm feeling, because I don't want to come into agreement with what's attacking me right now. So I don't want to speak it out and go, I agree with this. And this is it. So I'm not even going to give it a name. I'm just going to say, God, you already know. And because you know, I know that you already have an answer, because nothing catches you off guard. There is nothing that surprises God that happens to any one of us. There is nothing that you could do, you could say, you could think that God is going, I had no idea she was about to think that. Absolutely nothing. And so for me, I begin to say, God, you already know what this is. You know this weight. You know what I'm carrying. And I just begin to just cry and say, God, because you know it, you know every tear that falls, you know the name of my tears. You guys, I got that from Apostle Deborah Edwards. When earlier on, when I sat in her office and cried one time, she looked at me and said, what's the name of those tears? And I remember looking at her and going, huh? It stopped me from crying because I was caught off guard. Wait, what? And so I was like, I don't know. I thought it was like a trick question, something I was supposed to answer, like a pop quiz. And so I was just kind of like, I don't know what the name of the tears are. And so I literally stopped crying in real life. And so she said, no, I want you to tell me what's coming out of you, what's going on. And I began to talk to God about that and go, God, you know the name of my tears. You know what this is. You know what I'm dealing with. And because you know, God, I'm going to trust and believe that you already have an answer. And so instead of sitting here and allowing these feelings and these emotions to overwhelm me, instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to worship. And so I just begin to thank God. I just begin to go into a place of thanksgiving. God, I thank you for this. God, I thank you for that. God, I thank you that, I'm clothed in my right mind. God, I thank you that I have the activity of my limbs. God, I thank you for my healthy, happy marriage. God, I thank you for my children who are healthy and happy. God, I thank you for my covering. God, I thank you for the leadership team that I partner with, Father God. I thank you for the connections that you've given me, the women that you put in my life who I can pick up the phone at any moment. And the Women of Dream, we have this chat group. I know at any moment if I put in that chat group, SOS, I need help, my phone would go off immediately. What's going on? What do you need? And I don't take that for granted. I think that's a blessing to have community like that supports you in that realm, in that way. I know that I can pick up the phone and call any one of my cousins, and all of them would go, what's going on? What's happening? I'm calling you right back. I'm walking out of the office right now so I can talk to you. I don't take that for granted either. And so I just begin to thank God for all the things that I have around me that He's already given me, things that you may not think about. God, I thank you that I have a roof over my head. I thank you for the food in my kitchen. I thank you that the lights come on when I hit a switch. God, I thank you for the word that you've given me, like the word that I get to share with your people. I thank you for this. And so when I begin to thank God for all of the things, I begin to feel lighter. Like everything that was worrying me and stressing me out before that just dissipated because I just chose to go into a different place. And it made me think about David and how the Bible says after, everything happened, they came back from war and the enemy had came into their camp and took their wives and their children away, had ransacked their area and had taken everything from them, their wealth. And his men who had just fought in war and battle with him were upset about it because they were blaming David for it. This is because of you. We've lost everything, our partners, our wives, our children. This is because of you. And it says David went away from them. And I mean, to the point where these men were actually thinking about killing David because they were so upset with him. And the Bible says David began to encourage himself. He began to speak to himself. And I think in those difficult times, sometimes that's the hardest thing to do, to get to a place where you go, God, let me bless your name. Let me praise you. Let me worship you right now when all chaos is happening all around me. That is the hardest thing sometimes to do. And so in those easier times, when the issues are not as bad, it's almost like you have to activate your praise in that time, because it's almost like strengthening a muscle. If I can do it in times where it's not so bad, as trouble starts to come, it becomes my pattern. This is something that I do repeatedly over and over and over again. So I'm teaching that muscle a new memory. Like, for instance, we talked a few weeks ago about how babies, when they're young, they learn, if I cry, if I do this, if I act out like this, then you're going to give me XYZ. That's what they learn to do. And so because of that learned thing, that becomes muscle memory for them. So anytime they want something, anytime something doesn't go their way, anytime they get frustrated. We were with my grandson this past weekend and my grandson has learned to fall out. It drives my son and my daughter insane, but he's learned to fall out when he wants something and they don't give it to him quick enough. I'm gonna hit the floor. And so grandparents had to step in this weekend and go, we're not gonna do that. Get up. And had to remind my son, you did the same thing when you were that age. I remember you falling back and hitting your head a couple of times. And so it's interesting to see how that happens. And it helped prepare me for the message tonight. So you guys, let's get into this because I want to encourage us. I want to help uplift us. And while you're in the comments, if you are somebody who's going, listen, I need prayer, Kai, or Kai, I understand what you're talking about. This is what I'm going through. I want to encourage you to put that in the comments as well, because our sisters are in there and trust me, they will help uplift you. And we will also reach out to you. The Dream Team will reach out to you. We will definitely pray for you. We will definitely encourage you. And we want to keep you uplifted. So you are not in this alone. I don't want you to allow the enemy to even make you think for a split second you are fighting this battle by yourself. You've got a whole team of sisters and brothers in Christ who are also going to help uplift you and pray for you and give you a word. So please, please, please feel free to put your information there. Or if you have a question about anything that I go through tonight, please put it in the comments. I am going to be back and forth between speaking tonight and watching the comments, because I want to make sure that if there are any questions or anything, I can get to it in real time. So you guys just bear with me as I'm juggling all of the things tonight. But I'm super excited because this is for us women. This is us. This is our refueling. And this is our encouragement. So let's dive into press. First, we're going to start with 2 Kings. And I'm going to go 2 Kings. This is chapter 4, verse 8 through 37. I'm not going to read all of it. I'm going to read parts of it, but I am going to encourage you to write it down because I am going to tell you now. You want to go back and study this. I always tell you, study for yourself. Don't just take my word for it when I say it's in the Bible. I want you to go back, reread it, make sure you understand it, and stand on it because this is going to be a good foundation for us as we continue to press forward. So let's get into it. So this is about Elisha, and he went to Shunem, and a well-to-do woman was there who urged him to stay with her to stay for a meal. So whenever he came by, he stopped there to eat. She said to her husbands, "I know this man who often comes our way is a holy man of God. Let us make a small room on the roof and put in it a bed and a table and a chair and a lamp. Then he can stay there whenever he comes." Now, few things to know. The Bible already tells us in verse 8, that she's a well-to-do woman. What we know about this Shunammite woman is that she is from a descendant of the tribe of Issachar. And there are a few things that I want you to know about Issachar. First of all, where they are, this is a land of agriculture. And so they have built up farms, and they have economy and everything else. They barter and they trade. And so these people were really knowledgeable. These were, I want you to think of not just farmers, but these were businesses that these families had. And so the Bible is telling us that she's well to do, which means she had some extra resources to be able to take care of the man of God. And so she went to her husband and she said to him, "Let's set up a place for him when he comes to town. So when he comes here, he can stay with us." In order for them to have an extra room and bed and a chair and a lamp and everything that he needed, and to be able to share food with him whenever he came to town, meant that they had to have some wealth. They had to have something in order to be able to give. And so she wanted to prepare a place for the man of God. She did not do this with an expectation of something coming back to her. "I'm not doing this because I want you to give to me. I'm not doing this for the sole purpose of you blessing me. I'm doing this really to be a servant. I am serving God, and I'm serving God through serving you, the man of God." And so that's what she did. And so the Bible goes on to say that one day Elisha came and he went up to the room and laid down there. Then he said to his servant Gehazi, "Call the Shunammite woman." So he called her and she stood before him. And Elijah said to him, "Tell her, you have gone to all of this trouble for us. Now what can be done for you?" So he wanted to bless her. "I want to give you something because you've done so much for us. And I just feel like I owe you back. Like, what can I do for you?" He even began to ask her, "Can I speak to the king on your behalf? Can I speak to the commander of the army on your behalf? Like, what is it that you want?" And this woman said, "I don't want anything." See, posture is important, you guys. And I think that's the first thing that we learn when we go through struggles, when we go through issues, when we go through problems. Your posture is important. Your reason for doing it is important. Like I said in my prayer earlier, I told God, "You know my heart. You know what my motives are. You know what my desires are. You know the reason why I'm doing certain things, the decisions I make. You understand the core of me, like the real me, the me that I sometimes can hide from other people. I can't hide it from God. God knows my true essence." And so because of that, he knows the reason why I'm doing certain things. And he already knows my need before I may even realize that I have a need. He knows my desires before I may even realize that I have a desire. He already knows the problems that I'm going to have 3 years from now, 2 years from now, 6 months from now. And I may not even, it's not even on my radar yet. And so in this instance, this is what we see happening with this woman. She doesn't want anything from the man of God. I'm not doing this for the purpose of you giving to me. I'm just trying to help you out. And so because she didn't ask for anything, it increased Elijah's desire to do something for her. So he said, I have a home among my people, which is what the woman said. And so Elijah asked again, what can be done for her? And Gehazi said, she has no son and her husband is old. So my husband is too old to be able to produce an heir, and I don't have one. And so Elijah called her back and he said, listen, in 1 year's time, you're going to have a child. And the woman said to him, and I'm down at verse 16. It says, no, my Lord, she objected. Please, man of God, don't mislead your servant. So although he's saying this is what God is going to do from you, her first thought was, No, I don't think so. Who does this remind y'all of? Who else got told at their old age that their husband was going to give them a child? Sarah. she was like, wait a minute, and even laughed about it. You guys, have you ever heard God tell you that he's going to do something that just blew your mind? Like, I don't even know. I didn't even ask for this. Wasn't even in my radar to ask for this. It wasn't my desire. It wasn't something that I hoped for. And if you are going, hey, Kai, I've never had that experience. I've never had God blow my mind in that way. I'm going to pray that God does that for you, that he does something so big for you that it increases your faith, because that's exactly what happened to this woman in this story. She went from not believing and not even asking the man of God to give her anything, to him now telling her you're going to have a baby in a year's time, to her telling him, don't get my hopes up. I mean, I don't do this to me. Don't tell me this is going to happen. And then it doesn't happen, which means that there was some issues with her faith and believing and knowing what God can do. Sometimes we inadvertently put handcuffs on God without really understanding that's what we're doing. Because in my mind, my limited viewpoint, I don't think there's a Red Sea. If I'm the children of Israel, I'm not understanding that when we get to the sea, that God can part the sea. I don't think that. I'm thinking we're trapped. We're going to get captured. We're going back to Egypt. That's where their minds were. But the God we serve is so amazing, and there is nothing too hard for God. God thinks so much bigger than our minds can even fathom. Like, we're thinking on minuscule levels, not even using all of our brain. We're using a small portion of it, but not thinking to the level that God is. And God then parts a sea for them that they're able to walk through. They didn't have to swim across. They didn't have to build a boat real quick. They didn't have to, do any of that. God just parted it, and they were able to walk through on dry land where there was water a minute ago. There's always been water here. Those sea parts and the land is dry. It just blows your mind to even think that that can happen. But this is what they were able to see. And then they were able to turn around and see Pharaoh chasing after them. And then the water goes back. God allows the water to go back to the way it was. And then what happens? Pharaoh and his army drowns. But not one of the the children of Israel died. They made it across. And so it set them up to believe in God, because they got to see all of the miracles. All of the plagues that happened in Egypt wasn't just for the Egyptians to know who God was, but it was to build the faith of the people. And sometimes the issues and obstacles that we're going through is so God can reestablish faith within us. It's to build it back up so my God is bigger. If I've only experienced God doing small, minute, little things, it may make me believe that God can't do anything bigger than this. So now when you're the man of God telling me that God is going to bless my womb, and my husband at his old age is going to be able to put a seed in there, and I'm going to have a baby in a year, wait a minute, what's happening there? And so this is where we see her, and exactly what he said was going to happen is exactly what did happen. Her womb was blessed, and in a year's time, she did have a baby. He said, you're going to be able to have a son, and not just a daughter, a child. You're going to have a son. This means that you're going to have an heir. I want you to think about the fact that this family, the Shulamite woman and her husband, who y'all, I just love, wait a minute. Side note. I just love how the Bible tells us stories and don't give us nobody's name sometimes. Like, your story is unique. The woman from Chattanooga, that's what God was, the woman from Chattanooga. And there will be a whole story about the woman from Chattanooga, but y'all will never know my name was Kai. There will be a whole story about the woman from Chattanooga and her husband, but you'll never know my husband's name was Kenny. And I always think that is so interesting how God does that in the Bible. And then there are certain stories where he does tell you the people's names. And I always wonder why, and it's probably a question that I'll have to ask God when I get to heaven. But I always thought that was just interesting how that happens. But for us, we know she's this Shulamite woman and her husband is her husband. That's all we know. So let's keep going. We are going to go down to 17, and it says, "But the woman became pregnant, and the next year, about the same time, she gave birth to a son, just as Elijah had told her. The child grew, and one day he went with his father, who was a reaper, and he said to his father, 'My head, my head.'" So the son becomes sick at this point. And so the father tells his servant, "Carry him back to his mother." And so that's exactly what happens. The servant takes him back to his mother. His mother sits and holds him, and then her son dies. About noon, it says, the son perishes in her arms. He dies in her arms. And so it says she went up and she laid him on the bed, and the man of God, and then where the man of God slept, and then she shut the door and went out. She then called to her husband and said, "Please send me one of the servants and a donkey so that I can go to the man of God quickly and return." Now, y'all, first of all, she did not tell her husband what was happening. She didn't say, "Hey, here's the issue. Here's what's going on. Our son just passed in my arms." She didn't break down and have a hissy fit. She didn't start crying and wailing and planning a funeral. It says she took her son, she laid him down on the bed where the man of God slept. She closed the door. She came out and she was on a mission. You guys, this is where pressing comes in. There are some issues that happen in our lives that hit us like a tsunami. And I have had those issues, you guys, for the past year. I've talked about that issue where I have felt like I have been just knocked all around, and it has changed in the midst of the struggle, in the midst of the problem. It has strengthened my relationship with God. It has opened my eyes to some obstacles that I did not see, would not have seen had the issue not happened. It has made me change and go into God's presence harder, but also my spiritual eyes have been open since that situation. And I don't think, had I not gone through it, none of these things would have happened. There were so many things that happened after the issue that I now look back and go, "God, had it not happened, where would I be? What would have, where I would have been out of order because I wasn't doing what God told me to do when we first moved to Chattanooga." And so I said, "God, did it take this for you to get me in alignment?" And sometimes that's really what it is. God is going, "You are so far from the mark, and you just keep getting further and further away. And before I let you just go off and perish and let you just go to your own, do your own thing, I need to pull you back in." And so in order to pull you back in, I need to shift this situation around. I need to kind of shake you a little bit. And shaking you changes your foundation, and it really allows you to see what you're standing on. Am I standing on quicksand? Is my faith built on quicksand? Or am I standing on the word of God? Am I really, really about it? Am I really about him? Am I doing his will? Or am I doing something else? And it allowed me to see where we had become complacent at and really not tapping into him and tapping into his word. And so that shifting happened for us for a reason. It was to pull us back in, but also to build up our faith again, and to build up our strengthen our relationship with God, and encourage us and build up our courage to go into areas where God had told us to go into, but we were thinking, not me. God, if you gonna send somebody, and I do believe you gonna send somebody, it's not me, right? You gonna send somebody else, and God's like, "No, I'm sending you. Go where I told you to go." And if you don't do what God told you to do, we know that's disobedience, and we know God is not for that. And so this is what happened. You have to look at it almost like an opportunity for a reset. God loves you so much that I'm giving you the opportunity to do it again, because I don't want you to open up your eyes in hell. I'm giving you the ability to reset, to reshift, to come back into my presence. And I'm here ready to embrace you and to love you and to let you know I'm here for you. And so that is what we see in this particular story. And so it says that when this happened, she told her husband, make this happen quickly. And her husband says in 23, "Why go to him today?" He asked. "It is not the new moon or the Sabbath." So here, this is ritual. This is when we traditionally would go to the man of God, or when we would be able to travel during this time, and we can travel at haste, like quickly, like she wants to move. We can't do that right now. So he's trying to give her reasons why, rational reasons, this is rational, why we can't do what you want to do. But she is still pushing and going, we need to do this right now. And still at this point, she hasn't said to her husband, this is a situation going on in this room. She has kept it to herself. And I mean, the resolve to be able to hold that in. I can't imagine losing a child or holding a child and knowing my child is gone, and trying to hold it together and have conversations with anybody at that moment. So the strength of this woman and the ability to know, I got to go to the man of God. I got to go to the person who has a direct connect to be able to help me through this situation. That's something else. I think when I read the Bible, I try to read it from a different place, rather than just reading it as a story, that you are just reading through the pages, but really thinking about it from a different perspective, from a human perspective, and going, okay, what must this person have felt? What must this person have been dealing with? And just thinking about it from a different lens, and allowing the story to become real to me. This is real, the word of God, and it just allowing it to not just be words on a page is essentially what I'm saying. And so I began to think about that from a mother's perspective. I have talked about having a son who had his first seizure that lasted 20 minutes, and as a young mother, how just afraid I was, like just very, very afraid, and not really knowing what to do, how to do, where to move, where to go, or any of those things. And just not knowing the best choices to move forward and who to ask for information. And the doctors are using such large words. I I didn't know what most of it meant. I didn't understand the medication they were putting him on, or the different things that they were telling me that he was dealing with. And I have known other mothers who spoke about it and gone, I had to learn in the moment. It was like going to med school and going overnight. This is my child's condition. This is what they're dealing with. These are all the situations that can come from this. These are all the things that can come from the medication he's taking. These are the procedures he had done. This is that. And you just have to learn it on the fly, or being a caretaker of somebody and having to learn it, or your own health challenges. It is a lot to think through. And so I've put myself from that perspective, thinking through what this mother is going through in this moment, and to not have a person that she can speak to go, hey, here's what's happening. Here's what I'm going through. I talked about it at the beginning of this broadcast, how I am so thankful for the women that surround me. I don't say it enough. I can't say it enough. It's just, I'm thankful for each one of you, and being able to pick up a phone and call any one of you for support. I don't take that for granted. It means a lot to me. And I can't imagine her being in this situation and not even being able to say to your husband, here is what's going on in our home. Here's what's going on with our child. And maybe I thought through it, because the Bible really doesn't give clarity on why she didn't tell him, whether she thought, he would go through emotions, or she was just trying to hold it together to get to the man of God and go, I need help, or whatever it may be. We may never know. But from what I can gather here, it has to be a lot. It has to be. So it says that she did go. She got on her donkey. She took off running. She told her servant, go ahead of me, lead on. Don't slow down for me unless I tell you to, but get to the man of God. And so it says in 25, so she set out and came to the man of God on Mount Carmel. When he saw her in the distance, the man of God said to his servant Gehazi, look, there's a Shunammite woman. Run to meet her and ask her, are you all right? Is your husband all right? Is your child all right? Everything is all right, she said to the servant. It's all good. I'm perfectly fine. Everything is all right. But she kept writing to the man of God. So she didn't even tell the servant, here's why I'm here. She keeps riding. And then it says in 27, when she reached the man of God on the mountain, she took hold of his feet. So she fell down, she collapsed, and she grabbed hold of his feet and she just held on. It says Gehazi came over to push her away, but the man of God said, "Leave her alone. She is in bitter distress, but the Lord has hidden it from me and has not told me why." Now, I thought about this. She is in bitter distress and she falls at his feet and she grabs him. So I wanted to know the importance of that. I always ask why. When the Bible tells us certain things, I don't believe God is just telling us just because he just wants to say something. There's a reason why he's pointing out certain things. So I began to research and ask, why was this specific verse 27 important, that she grabbed his feet and his servant came to push her away? And what I found out was that in that time, it was for a person to touch the man or woman of God, the prophet of God. It was the prophet of God. It was disrespectful. So that was the reason why when she touched his feet, his servant came to push her away, like, do not touch him. And he had to tell his servant, no, 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 leave her where she is. I thought about this and I thought about another time when a woman pushed through to touch the feet, or the hem, shall I say, of another man. So let's go real quick to Mark 5. Mark 5, 25 through 34. You guys join me at Mark 5. 25 through 34. Let's jump on over here. And so it says, and a woman was there who had been subject to bleeding for 12 years. This woman had been dealing with this situation for 12 years. For some of us, we can't make it 12 hours in discomfort. We can't make it 12 days in discomfort or 12 months in discomfort. But this woman had been dealing with this situation for 12 years, and she had been ostracized because of it. And when I say ostracized because of it, at that time, if you were unclean, you're dealing with bleeding, which is essentially what she's on a period that just does not stop. She's bleeding for 12 years. So this is beyond a period. Don't let me minimize it. It is so far beyond that. When you are unclean, you could not go around your family. You could not go in the house with your family, your relatives. You were ceremonially unclean. You cannot be with your loved ones. You cannot have sex with your husband. It was just, you are ostracized from people. If you start bleeding and it stops, there's a reprieve. I can go back around people. But when you are in a place where you cannot be with anybody, where you have to be on the outside, think about also the people who had leprosy in this time. They were put outside of the city. If you could be in a community with other leopards, it was people who had leprosy, then you had community around you. This woman is by herself. She can go to doctors for treatment. Nobody can cure it. Nobody has any idea what's going on, but she is an unclean woman. She is treated a certain way because of the fact that she is unclean. And so when you've been by yourself and away from everybody for so long, and away from just not feeling normal for a long time, you guys, I cannot imagine the weight that this woman has also felt, dealing with this whole situation that she's dealing with. And so it says for 12 years, she's been dealing with this. She has suffered a great deal under the care of many doctors. So she had went to multiple doctors and had spent, it says, and had spent all of her she had. Yet instead of getting better, she grew worse. When she heard about Jesus, she came up behind him in the crowd and touched his cloak, because she thought, if I touched his clothes, I will be healed. Immediately her bleeding stopped, and she felt in her body that she had been freed from her suffering. She came to him with the expectation, the same way that we see the Shunammite woman going, as if I just get to the man of God, if I get to Jesus and I touch him and I touch Jesus, then they're going to be able to do something to be able to resolve this issue that I'm carrying, or this problem that I have. You guys, I have been there when I have gone and just cried out before God, and that's exactly what happened last week. I sat here and I cried my eyes out. I just bawled, and then I just began to worship. And I just changed my tone, my posture, to not a place of, God, I'm just so broken, but to a place of, God, I just thank you. I think, did I say thank you today for this? Did I say thank you for that? Or did I come to you with everything that I wanted instead of just worshiping at your feet? And so it says this woman, the Shunammite woman, she grabbed hold of his feet. He told his servants to not do anything. And he'd said, God has hidden from me why she's even here. And so she's here, but I don't understand what's happening. And so it says in 28, did I ask you for a son, my Lord? She said, didn't I tell you, don't raise my hopes? God gave me something and then God took it away from me. And it wasn't even something that she felt that she asked for or that she even wanted. I didn't say, give me this. I didn't say I was missing a child. I didn't say anything. You got my hopes up and my desires up, and you got my spirit up. And then all of a sudden he's gone. And now I have to wrap my brain around what I'm dealing with right now. There was something important here that I wanted to draw attention to in both situations. When they had an issue, they took it to the person who they felt was closest to God to be able to resolve the issue. We have to be careful who we take our problems and our issues to. Not everybody is going to be able to carry it, and not everybody is going to be able to give you the right words to be able to deal with what you're dealing with. Some people are going to give you misinformation. Some people are going to give you flesh. Some people are going to give you, girl, if I was you, I would do this. But some people are going to point you to the word, and you have to be prepared for, if they do point you back to God, it may be something that doesn't feel good to your flesh. It may hurt. And sometimes it may be God's way of saying, I need you to come back to me, and I need you to come back and humble yourself and come back into submission and come back into relationship. It may not be the thing that feels right. Especially if it's something that's hurting you. Like if, I had an issue. No, I'm gonna just be honest, because it's us. It's us that's in here. I'm gonna just be honest. I had an issue at work, and this person was very, very rude to me. First time meeting this person, and it was almost like, I have to let you know that I'm over you, and I don't like the fact that you've come into this organization at the level you come into this organization in. And so I am mad that you were able to come in the door at this level. And she had to let me know that. And so in this conversation, I felt myself getting irritated. And I'm like, oh, I just want to say something. And in the moment, God said, don't say nothing. Don't defend yourself. Don't give reason for it. Don't give her attitude. Don't say nothing. And it was a shut up moment. Because I know what's about to come out of your mouth. So close it. Don't say nothing. And it's hard, because especially when your character is being assassinated, especially when people are coming after, your reputation, people are coming after, the things that and they're trying to make you feel like you don't know. It's hard, to be able to go through that and to keep your mouth shut and just, okay, all right, well, I mean, I understand you feel that way. You are entitled to your feelings, and just smile through it. Don't roll your eyes. Don't do the head thing that we do as sisters. Don't do any of that. Just, okay. And that can be a challenge sometimes. And in that moment, God said, don't you dare do anything. Don't you retaliate. Don't you do anything. I'm going to handle this. And trusting God enough to go, God, I trust you with it. And I trust that it will be handled. And that's it. And still come around that person and understand that you represent God in that situation. So if I go before this person misrepresenting God, then she is not going to believe my witness. And I talked about how later on in this particular situation, how this person came to me with a personal issue she had, and I had to pray with her, because I felt like I was called to that moment. God, I see why you told me to shut my mouth, because had I given her what she was giving me in that moment, I wouldn't be able to represent you well right now. And she probably would have looked at me sideways and went, who do you think you are? Wait a minute, pray with me. I think not. And God was calling me out of my flesh in that moment. And so I had to represent in a way, um, in the moment where I was being attacked, that I could later come back. And I didn't understand it in that moment that, months later, this was going to be the situation. And sometimes we don't. We don't know what's going to happen 6 months down the road, 12 months down the road. You have no clue what's going to happen next. And so it's trusting God and going, even in this situation, how do I best represent you? And if I represent you in a way that misrepresent you, God, I fall short. Help me to acknowledge it in that moment and apologize and correct it. Help me to learn from this situation. And that's what I had to be in that moment. God, help me to learn from this so that I'm able to represent you well in the future. And I don't represent you in a way that causes people to go, if this is Christianity, I want no parts of this. If this is what believing in God gives me, I want no parts of this. If this is what you call faith, I want no parts of that. I want to be a light and a beacon that leads people back to God. And if I'm going to be that representation, then how I carry myself, my posture matters. How I hold myself in difficult situations matters. I don't want to be one of those people who put on when I get in front of people and then behind the scenes I'm somebody completely different. I want you to know me here or wherever you know me to be able to say that's her. That's the same her I got 3 years ago, 12 years ago, 6 months ago. It's the same her and she still loves God. And if she says her reputation, if she says God is going to do XYZ, her faith is saying this, she's going to pray for me. She's going to, read the Bible. If God says, you know what, let's open up the Bible and read it. I want to be able to do that because of the fact that I know Kai really is about this word. She's really about it. And I want that to be the same representation that you have when you go out, wherever you go. You may not be called to a pulpit. You may not be called to a minister, to a title, but you still represent God wherever you are. Whether that's at your kid's softball game, whether that's at your job, whether that's at the grocery store, whether that's in the community, you still represent him where you are. And you never know who may be looking for somebody to pray with them, to uplift them, to encourage them. And I want us to be constantly on guard so that we are able to do that and lift each other up. So often the enemy will try to divide us and put us against each other and try to, get my side against your side and his side against her side. And really what God is about is unifying his people. And if we're all the children of God, if he is calling all of us, then I don't want to be looking at you for what's different about you than what about me and what's different about her than me. Let us all just be representations of who he is. Let us all shine a light. And I don't want to be looking at you going, but his light is brighter, or her light is brighter, or she's got this, or they got that. No, let's just focus our attention back on God and serving one another. How can I serve you today? Not what am I going to get out of it? So, you guys, let's get back to the story. I'm sorry. Go off on that tangent. So, it says that she did tell Elijah what happened. He told his servant Gehazi, tuck your cloak in your belt and take my staff in your hand and run. Run to this woman's house. He said, don't greet anybody. Don't say hey to anybody. If anybody greets you, don't you stop and talk to them. Keep going. You need to run to her house. So the servant gets to her house. The servant goes up to the room. He does exactly what Elijah tells him to do, but the boy doesn't wake up. The boy doesn't get up. He is still dead. So the servant goes back to Elijah and he tells him, I did what you said. I reached the house. He went in, he shut the door, and he said that, nothing happened. So Elijah then continues moving forward. He gets to the house and it says in verse 32, when Elijah reached the house, there was the boy lying on the dead on the couch. He went in, shut the door on the two of them and prayed to the Lord. Then he got on the bed and he laid on the boy, put his mouth to his mouth, his eyes to his eyes, his hands to his hands. And as he stretched himself out over him, the boy's body grew warm. Elijah turned away and walked back and forth in the room and then got up on the bed and he stretched out on him once more. The boy sneezed 7 times and opened his eyes. Now, let me back up to 33. It says, when Elijah went in, He shut the door. Sisters, come in. I need all us to come in. Sometimes you have got to get in a place where you close everybody out, because I need to go into a worship that y'all ain't about to understand. I need to go into a praise that y'all are not about to understand. I need God to move in such a way that I got to close everybody out, because you may try to pull me out. You may try to talk about it. You may bring bad stuff in. You may start causing me to doubt you, who knows? I don't know, but I need to close this door so that God can move. What Elijah did in this moment may have been looked at by other people through the perspective of, this is weird. You about to do that? Wait a minute. The boy is dead. Why are you in there? And start asking questions. I need you outside so that I can hear from God, and so that God can speak to me, and so that I can do exactly what God is telling me to do. And I don't need any distractions pulling me out of it right now. So I need to close this door so that I can go in the way I need to go in. I'm going to need to take off my makeup. I'm going to need to pull my hair up in a ponytail. I'm going to need to get on some comfortable clothes, and I'm going to need to fall out before God. The Bible talks about after David, God had came for the baby, after him and Bathsheba had not Bathsheba, him and him and Bathsheba had the baby, and the baby had, right before the baby had died. It talks about David falling out and just praying and just fasting and not moving. God told him, I'm gonna take the baby, but I'm just gonna fall on my face and just repent. And maybe God will change his mind, maybe he won't, but I'm not gonna eat, I'm not gonna entertain anything. I am just here. And sometimes that is where you need to be. God, I need to close everything out so there are no distractions in this moment. I can't afford anybody pulling my attention from you. I can't afford anybody causing doubt to go in my mind. I can't afford anybody talking to me right now and pulling me out of your word. I can't afford anybody telling me about something else that doesn't matter at this moment. I just need to seek you. And so that is what he did. He went into the room, he closed the door, and he did what he had to do. And then the boy began to breathe. If doubt enters the room before this happened, because it said he did it the first time and the boy's body got warm, but he didn't get up immediately. It didn't happen in that moment. And if somebody else was in the room, they may have doubted, oh, that's it then. That's the end. This is where you are. Maybe God is not going to move for you. Maybe God is not going to wake the boy up. Maybe God didn't really want the woman to have the boy. Maybe she was right in the beginning. You got her hopes up. And so he had to close them out so that he was able to focus in and tap into where God needed him to be. Turn off the TV. Put down the phone. Put down the radio. Don't go out to the restaurant. No, friends, I can't go out this weekend because right now I got to shut the door, shut myself inside so that I can sit and wait on God. Right now, I don't need another prayer partner. Right now, I need to pray because God is waiting to hear your voice. What do you say about the situation? I've heard what Apostle said, Pastor said, the First Lady said, the deacon said, the elder said. You done been in everybody's prayer line. But what do you say? Let me hear from you. Let me have relationship with you. Let me speak to you. Let me hear your voice. Let me hear you reading the word. Let me hear you touching and agreeing. And so he had to close the door. And the first thing he did was what? He prayed. That was the very first thing he did. He didn't touch the boy. He didn't speak anything. I'm going to pray first. That needs to be our first reaction, because that spirit of depression, that spirit of just, I know Apostle Deborah said it was a spirit that wanted to wear out the saints. And Apostle Deborah, if you could put in the comments what that spirit is called. I know you said the name, but I can't think of it right now in this moment. But just wear the saints down, just with weariness. Is that it? Is that what it is? Maybe I got it. Hey. But weariness, just to make us weary and just tired and just overwhelmed and just make you want to throw in the towel and just give up. Like, that's where the spirit wants to keep you, so that you will stop focusing on God and on God's word, but you will begin to focus in on just everything else, whatever else the enemy wants to put in front of you. And whatever, if he learns that Kai is fasting, that Yvonne is fasting, that Deborah's fasting, that Melissa's fasting, that Tracy's fasting, that Dana's fasting, that Lisa and Tiffany are fasting. He's going to do whatever he can do to distract you. Have you ever noticed that when you are fasting and you reading your Bible and you have turned off every distraction, that's when the enemy comes in with some crazy mess? Because he's trying to catch you off guard. Like that's when all hell break loose. Your marriage problems start happening, kids start acting crazy, health going crazy, car breaking down, job going nuts. This is when all of that happens because the enemy is going, I got to keep throwing things at her until she stops. I got to keep throwing things at you to distract you until you stop. And the moment you stop, he goes, that worked. So the next time you try to pray and fast, he learned the last time this worked. So I'm just going to start there and then increase and intensify from there because he's learned the red flag for you. I will throw up my surrender flag as soon as you attack my marriage, or as soon as you attack my health, or as soon as you attack my children, or as soon as you attack my job. Now I can't fast and I'm just going out to eat. Or as soon as I see a commercial that shows a good restaurant, that reminds me that I'm hungry. And you don't even be hungry for real. Or at least I don't. I don't be hungry for real. But then I start thinking about it like, chicken do sound good today. I don't want no chicken. But as soon as I'm fasting, that's what happened. Because the enemy is trying to figure out, I need a way in. I need to break her. I need to get her to stop. And so he's going to throw whatever he can at you. And so sometimes, sisters, we got to close the door. I don't want to give the enemy even an inch to get in here. I don't want him to see where I am. I don't want to give him a foothold. I don't want him to be able to get any part of him in. So I am closing the door behind me. And I am just going into God. In both stories, you guys, there are just a few points that I want to point out. First of all, both women knew that they had to press in and they couldn't be bothered with everybody else was saying. The woman with the issue of blood knew that she was unclean. Ceremonially, she was unclean and she wasn't supposed to be around people. And so in her instance, she got low. I got to go beneath everybody. I got to crawl to them. If people stepping on me, it's okay. If I get kicked in the process, because there was a crowd around Jesus. It wasn't like there was nobody there. She got low to the ground and pushed her way through. And in my mind, in Kai's mind, I imagine her army crawling, like just army crawling. I'm just trying to get to him. I don't care who coming. I don't care who see me. I don't care who know me. I don't care what nobody say. I just need to get to him. And it says when she got to him, she touched the hem of his garment. And she believed that if I just touch him, I will be made whole. And the Shulamite woman, she didn't tell anybody what was going on. She didn't give a word to nobody. Nobody know what happened. And it says it wasn't until she got to Elijah that she just fell. At that moment, she collapsed under everything and just grabbed hold to his ankles. She grabbed hold to him. This week, sisters, I want to encourage you to get low and grab hold to the feet of Jesus. To just touch him this week and to just pray to him. I want to encourage each and every one of us to just go in for ourselves and for our sisters and lifting each one of us up in prayer. I want to encourage each one of us to just seek his face like never before. I want to encourage each one of us to change our prayers from prayers of, oh, woe is me, to prayers of, God, I just want to thank you. Yes, the problem is still going on, but I'm still thanking you, even though, yes, the healing hasn't come yet. But God, I'm still thanking you and I'm still encouraged because I know that you can do it. God, yes, the job didn't come. Yes, the money didn't come through. Yes, the bills are still here. Yes, the problems of my marriage are still here. Yes, God, the door is still closed. Yes, God, I'm still waiting on the baby. Yes, God, I'm still waiting on whatever you're waiting on. But this week, I just want to focus everything into seeking you, and not seeking you for the things. I'm seeking you because I just want to be in your presence. I just need to feel you this week. Now, I'm going to end this right now, but before I end this, I'm going to tell you what happened after I prayed that prayer. And I have not told this to anyone, not even my husband. This is the first time I've told this to anybody. So, sisters, I saved it for us tonight because I wanted to encourage you regardless to what you're going through. So, on last week, like I told you, I prayed that prayer. And I sat it on the floor of my desk, right by my desk, on the floor right here. And I just cried. And I just began to thank God for everything He had done and for everything He had got me through. I began to thank Him for everything that was around me, for Him being God. I just thank you for that. And just began to pray in a prayer of thanksgiving. I got up, like I said, I felt the weight released off of me, and I began to work. That night, I went to bed, and I woke up in the middle of the night. I could hear my husband outside of our bedroom. I know he was watching TV. He gets home pretty late, and so I knew he was watching TV. And it was like I sat up, and when I sat up, I'm looking at the door, and I can see the light coming in around the door. And I'm like, oh, he's out there. I'm getting ready to go back to sleep. And when I went to lay down, out of my peripherals, I see something on the corner, out of the corner of my eye. And so, when you see something out of the corner of your eye, you automatically look at it like, what was that? And so when I look, there is an angel standing right beside my bed, like at the foot of my bed. And he turns and looks. And when he looks, he's saying something. And I realize he's talking to another angel who's also in my room. And they're talking to each other. I can't hear or make out what they're saying to each other. I can just see the two of them. And it's like I just laid down, rolled over, and was like, oh, okay, we good now. And I just went back to sleep. And in that night, it was like God was telling me, I just needed you to see that everything was okay. I needed you to visually see it, because otherwise you would still be thinking about the issue and the problem and the situation, and you wouldn't realize that I've already made a way. I need you to know I've got you, and I've got this. There is nothing that's too hard for me. And I want to say that to you, my sisters, even if you're going, I've never heard the voice of God, Kai. I've never had dreams. I've never, seen visions. I've never seen angels. I hear people talking about this. This has never been me, but I'm dealing with so much. I want this week for us to change our focus and to be able to do this, because some of you may be going, Kai, I don't know how to do it. I honestly don't know how. With everything going on around me, I don't know how to do it. I told you guys I'm going to be giving a special gift tonight, and I meant that. So Kai Cunningham, I created a 7-day plan for each one of you. We are going to do this together as sisters. We are going to do, it's a prayer journal that I'm going to be sending to each one of you, and I'm going to be sending it by email so that you can get it. And starting tomorrow, we are going to start the 7-day journey together, each one of us. Every day, there's a scripture that you read. It's not long. It's a few questions that really get us to dive into your own introspective. So you can look at, how do I feel? What do I think? What do I know about God? What do I know about His word? And then after you finish the questions, there is a short prayer that you pray that day. Now, of course, you can pray even more than that prayer if you want to, but this at least gets you in a different place of understanding God, His relationship, and His love for each one of us. Now, to get this, because I said I'm going to email it to each one of you guys, I just put on our email here at Dream. I want you to go ahead and email us from right now, from your email. When we get the email, I'm going to send you out the PDF so that you can open it. I'm going to send it out in PDF and Word, because I know some people can't open the PDF. Some systems cannot. So I'm going to send it to you in Word as well. And that way you can go ahead and print it off, and you can go ahead and start doing the journaling. It's just for the next 7 days, we are going to do this together. So it's going to start tomorrow. You can do it first thing in the morning if you want to. You can do it in the afternoon if you want to. You can do it before you go to bed if you want to. At whatever time you want to do it that's most convenient for you, do it then. But I want us to do this together as sisters for the next 7 days, okay? All right. Well, you guys, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Thank you, chat. Y'all was jumping off in the chat over there. I was just watching. I couldn't say too much, but I love you guys for doing that, and I also love you guys. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. I pray that this sister to sister our vibe was good. And of course, if you have any questions, feel free to just go ahead and put them in the chat. We'll definitely get to them. Or if it's after the replay and you're going, Kai, I have a question. This I'm in a replay. This is a week later. This is 2 weeks later. Go ahead and put your questions in. We always go back and we always check. We always get notifications and we do respond. And of course, if you're like, Kai, this was a week later, can I still get that? Can I still get that booklet? Yes, you can. Go ahead and email us and I'll get it out to you. Well, you guys have a great rest of your week. I appreciate you for jumping in. I love you guys, and I will see you later. Bye, y'all.